this also gets to back to the point about how bad people think USC's defense is going to be, because, and you and I have kicked this around, Mark, on the Voice of College Football. If USC gives up an average of 30 points per game, I'm on record as saying that's good. Like, give me that. I will take that if the average is 30 a game. If it's 34, 35, 36, all right, then we have problems. But if the average is 30, with Caleb Williams, Jordan Addison, all these toys on offense for Lincoln Riley to have fun with, and as long as the offensive line stays reasonably healthy, that should win you the ball game almost every time. And I think that Notre Dame, Utah, and Oregon State are the three teams obviously designed to make it so that if USC gives up 30, the Trojans could lose. In the case of Notre Dame, if USC gives up 30 to the Irish, Notre Dame can hold USC under 30. The defense is going to be that good under Marcus Freeman. Similar with Utah. And then with Oregon State, if USC gives up 30 to Oregon State, the problem there is Oregon State scoring 30 points. Chances are that means Oregon State will have run the ball really well, which means Oregon State will have controlled the clock for 37, 38 minutes. The USC offense might not be able to score 31, 35, 38 if it has the ball for only 22 minutes in Corvallis. But other than those three teams, Notre Dame, Utah, Oregon State, if USC is giving up 30, Caleb Williams is hanging over 30 against those other defenses that it's going to face this season. So again, if you tell me right now USC is going to give up an average of 30 a game, I will sign on the dotted line. I think that's going to get USC at least to 10 wins. If not 11, it's going to get the Trojans where they expect to go.
But again, just to accentuate where I think you're headed on this, if USC's defense does give up 30 per game, then it's going to be giving up more like 37 to 40 against the better offenses, i.e. Notre Dame, Utah. And so therefore, there's going to be a couple losses there most likely, and that's where they're going to be.
And I think USC will lose twice. And I'm on record as saying that Utah in October and Notre Dame are going to be the two losses. So, I think that Utah probably hangs 42, maybe 45 against the Trojans, and Notre Dame scores in the mid to upper 30s. But that means that, at the Oregon State game, the Beavers might, USC might give up just 24. And then you get the rematch against Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. And if Utah scores 42, 45 in the first game in Salt Lake City in mid-October, I think in the second game, you're going to see some regression from the Utah offense, an evening out of the scales. And that's when USC can win the rematch, which is my prediction, that USC beats Utah in the Pac-12 title game, a rematch of the regular season loss to the Utes. USC gets the Utes the second time around, wins the Pac-12, goes to the Rose Bowl. That's my prediction, in case people have not read our very long, complete Pac-12 list of game predictions posted at Trojans Wire.
So Matt and staff have predicted every game of the Pac-12 season,
minus a few FCS cupcakes. The only FCS Pac-12 game we included in our predictions was North Dakota State beating Arizona, because it's an FCS upset. So we didn't predict the other FCS versus Pac-12 games, but we've predicted all the FBS Pac-12 games over at Trojans Wire.
Have you made your national predictions yet?
I have not, but I will tell you this, that I am not sold on Clemson. I think Clemson will not make the playoff. I think that that Dabo Swinney without Brent Venables, might be in for a little bit of a transition. And I mean, Clemson's defense is going to be really good. Clemson's loaded, but not having Brent Venables might cost them one game, and one game would be enough to upset the apple cart. And also keeping in mind that DJ Uiagalelei, he had the yips last year. If he doesn't work out, that situation could get very messy at Clemson. So I think that I think Miami has a great chance to win the ACC. And also North Carolina State will certainly have its shot to upend Clemson in the Atlantic. I don't think I'm ready to call the Wolfpack over Clemson in the Atlantic, but I do think I can call Miami over Clemson in the ACC championship game. So I'm not sold on Clemson. In terms of the other parts of the national outlook, Alabama, their offensive line is going to be a lot better than it was last year. They're not going to score 3 points against Auburn in 59 minutes. So Alabama is going to reassert itself at the top of the SEC. I think Ohio State reasserts itself, though I do think that, Ryan Day, this is a huge year for Ryan Day. After losing to Jim Harbaugh, does he get back his fastball? If he doesn't, that situation could get a little dicey in Columbus. But I do think Ryan Day will deliver the goods with the Buckeyes. And for all the Oklahoma people who think that I'm always trying to think the worst or believe the worst about the Sooners, they're going to win the Big 12. Dylan Gabriel is the pickup that's going to enable that offense to function at a high level, and you have Brent Venables' expertise on defense. I think Oklahoma is going to edge out Baylor in the Big 12 championship game. So those are probably the playoff teams: Ohio State, Oklahoma, Alabama, and I would also say Georgia. Georgia gets in just because you just have that two-headed monster in the SEC. And if Clemson doesn't make the grade and the Pac-12 team has 2 losses, that gets Georgia in.